The first card you have your past is the Five of Wands. Okay, so I'm getting this little bit of worrying feeling. It looks a bit dangerous when you look at this card. There's kind of a fight going on here. I think there might have been some people worrying about you. I think there was one person definitely worrying about you. And I think that what I'm seeing is, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but there are two parts of you, the kind of two parts of you. There's kind of this organized part. You know, you set things out, you do things in order, you plan everything. And then there's this other part, and I think it's a more dominant part of you, but not many people see that. It's very forceful. It kind of, it's a little bit rebellious, actually. That's the part that really drives you. That's the part that's kind of different from a lot of other people. You know, because if you look at everyone on this card, the people on the right, you know, their wands are kind of linked up, if that makes sense. If you can see, they're kind of locked into each other. But then there's someone on the left-hand side, and they've got this wand kind of sticking up. It's higher up than all the others. And that's because they're doing something different to everyone else. So the fact that you do things differently, that's what makes you stand out. And that's what I'm seeing in this card. And sometimes people are really shocked. They don't expect you to do these kind of different things that you do. And I think they expect you to, because they see you as this organized person, and they expect you to be this kind of really kind of follow along the right road with everyone else kind of person. And you're not like that at all. You're very different. So I think maybe you're doing something, or I think you were just thinking about doing this thing, and you're talking to someone about it. I think they thought it was a little bit risky. You knew there was no danger in this. You knew what you were doing. And I think you knew that to be able to do this thing, to succeed in this thing, you had to take some kind of a risk. And I think it might have been a work risk. I don't know, something like that. And I think this person might have been telling you not to do this. Don't do this. It's very risky. All of that kind of thing. So you're very stubborn, though. You're a very stubborn person. So I think once you've made your mind up to do something, you will do that thing. So if you haven't done this yet, I think you're definitely going to do this. And I think when you do this, there's an adventure ahead of you. That's what I'm seeing. It's kind of something that leads to all these interesting other things. So I think you've got some surprises ahead of you, actually, that you're not expecting. And there's a little bit of confusion, but I think you're going to learn a lot from this experience. And yeah, it's definitely the right thing for you to be doing, because you're really going to grow as a person, and that's really fantastic. And you're not going to let anyone stop you from doing that. That's what I'm seeing. So you are going to go ahead with this. Okay, so the next card you have your past is the Two of Wands. And yeah, again, look at this man. He wants to go forward. He wants to go into the world because that's where the adventure is. But, you know, there's this other one behind him, and it's kind of bolted to the wall. It's not moving. You're not going to be bolted to the wall. You're not going to be stuck by anything or anyone else. You are going to go ahead and do this. So there is this wand that's bolted there, but it's not going to make any difference to you. You're going to go ahead anyway. The other thing I'm seeing here is, I think there's someone who you weren't quite sure about. I think you're probably just making up your mind about them. And yeah, I think you were just sitting back waiting to see what was going to happen before you made up your mind. Yeah, this is a love connection. I think you're always a little bit curious around love, though. I see that all the time. I don't think there's anything wrong with this person. I'm not seeing any great big red flags or anything like that. I think you're just taking things a little bit slowly, really slowly, actually. You might even be taking a trip or taking some time away from this person, not because you don't want to be around them. I think it might just be a coincidence, actually. You know, maybe you booked this time away, or there was something you had to do that was going to take you away from them. It's like you booked this thing. You knew you had to spend this time at this thing, this event, or whatever this was, this place. And then you met this person, and that's just the way it happened, kind of in that order. That's what I'm seeing. So I think this is actually a really good thing, actually, because in in some of your past relationships, I think you might have stopped doing some things because you didn't want to disappoint the person you're with. And you might have even cancelled things to accommodate whoever you're with at the time. That's not happening now. You know, you're mindful of keeping your own identity now. And I think you're making sure you live your own life, which is really fantastic to see. I keep on seeing this as being a little bit of a coincidence. So there are actually no coincidences. So yeah, sometimes the universe operates in interesting ways, and this is all happening for a reason. So I think you're supposed to be spending that time away from this person for some reason, and you'll probably find that out later on. That's what I'm seeing there. So the last card you have your past is the Four of Swords. Yeah, again, I'm not seeing any problems with this love connection. It is probably in the early stages, though, I think. Again, don't worry about having to spend time away from them. You know, you're not throwing roadblocks in front of them if you're away from them. You know, they understand. That's what I'm seeing. They do understand that. They understand you have a life, you have things to do. And I think the fact that you're like that, I think they like that about you. It takes some pressure off them, I think. They might have had a few problems. Yeah, I think they had a few problems recovering from a relationship they were in, actually. They were in a relationship, I think, and there was a lot of tension around this relationship, a lot of problems. It was quite tense. And I think that's what they like about you. You don't put that tension on them. You don't put that stress onto them. You might actually feel a little bit like an escape or even a holiday to them, actually. They're not escaping from someone else. It's not that. But yeah, this ex that they used to have, I think, put a lot of pressure on them for some reason. And they just don't like that. They don't want to repeat that. Of course they don't. So, you know, yeah, I think the fact that you have your own life, you seem to be more relaxed about things, that's something they really like about you. That's something they really appreciate. And look at this card. This poor man's recovering from a bad situation. He still has a lot of recovering to do. There are still some swords hanging over him. But this is a good person. You know, this statue's golden. And so I think this is looking really positive for you, actually. It's looking really good, actually. The first card you have your presence, the Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, this is you. This is you. You're a really hard worker. And again, what separates you from a lot of other people is the fact that you think very, very differently from a lot of other people. I'm seeing the same thing that I was seeing in the Five of Wands. You know, you have this really interesting and really powerful, actually. It's a really powerful combination of you think in these innovative ways and you're also organized at the same time. And that's quite rare to have those two things together. I actually think you enjoy, this is going to sound really weird, but I actually think you enjoy these times in your work when you're doing more repetitive things, more mundane things. I know that probably sounds a bit horrible and a bit weird, but what I mean by that is it's at these times, you know, when you're just doing this repetitive, whatever you're doing, the repetitive bits of your job, that's when you think more. That's when you kind of let your mind wander. And I think that's when you come up with a lot of these really good ideas. Yeah, I think you really love having this balance between doing more thoughtful work and less thoughtful work, if that makes sense. You like going between the two. I'm also seeing this love connection. I actually think, you know what I'm seeing here? I think they might start to chase you a bit, actually. Now, I think you're going to find this a little bit hard to get used to when they do chase you, because I think you've been in a few situations where whoever you've been with, they've expected you to do all the chasing, but this is completely different now. This is very different from anyone you've ever been with. This is someone who really wants to put the work into this, which is really fantastic. I keep on getting this feeling that you're not used to this, that it might make you feel a bit strange, or you're just not used to this kind of attention. And yeah, so, you know, if that resonates, just take all the time you need. Don't be afraid to tell them how you feel about this. If you want to take your time off, take time out, take your time, go somewhere else, just kind of take things very slowly or whatever. Let them know that. Don't be afraid to tell them that. Don't be afraid to tell them how you feel. They'd appreciate your openness, actually, because I don't think they've had a lot of that in the past, and they'd really like that from you. Okay, so the next card you have, your present, is the Ace of Cups. I think they actually have stronger feelings for you than you realise. What I'm getting is they just love who you are. They just love how you are. And they love the fact that you seem to be a bit relaxed about them. And also, I think this being away from them, spending time away from them, I think that's making them think of you even more, I think. So, the Ace of Cups is about really strong, really deep feelings. And if what I'm seeing here is correct, this is just early days in this relationship, but I'm getting some really, really strong feelings developing here. And again, if you want to take your time, definitely do that and tell them about that. But I think this has the potential to really last, really grow. And again, it's looking so positive for me. I'm seeing this positivity in this relationship everywhere in this reading so far. The last card you have, your present, is the Queen of Swords. Okay, what I'm seeing here is taking charge. That's what this Queen's doing. She's taking charge. She's in charge of things. She's the boss. And I think you're really starting to take charge of something. That's what I'm seeing in this card. Okay, there's a work situation, I think. I think there's some kind of promotion ahead of you, actually. It's some kind of it's some kind of a situation where you'll have to take charge, and I think you'll really step up to this. It just feels like to me like you're just kind of stepping into place. It's like, I know I deserve this. It doesn't feel strange, doesn't feel unusual. I'm just going to step in. I'm just going to take charge. That's how it feels to me. I think there's also a money increase coming to you. You have the Eight of Pentacles as well. So yeah, it's all kind of just falling into place for you. And I think there is someone around your work who might be a little bit difficult. They might try to test you in this new position that you're in. I am seeing someone testing you out a bit, if that makes sense. But, the Queen of Swords knows that. She sees everything. She's up on this hill. And, no one gets away with anything around the Queen, or this Queen. So, I don't know if this is just a temporary position. If it is, I think you're being tried for something, tested to see if you can do this properly. That's the feeling I'm getting. Or it might just be, a trial period. It's something like that. But, you're going to do really well with this. You're going to do very, very well. So I really hope this resonates, because I think I'm getting this feeling of you just slotting right into this position and just doing really well. It doesn't feel very strange. It doesn't feel anything. You're just going right in. Okay, so the first card you have, your futures, the Hermit. I'm really feeling this need all through this reading for you to take your time in this relationship, and that's what you're going to do. If you look at this Hermit, he's standing on a mountain. He's on the earth, and obviously earth represents stability. But if you look at this mountain, it's snowy. There's snow on this mountain, and snow's cold, obviously. It can be slippery if it turns into ice. And I think you've been in a lot of situations in the past where, especially relationship situations, where you thought you had stability, you thought you had that rock, but it turned out to be a little bit more like snow. And, I think any problems, any little bit of heat that was applied to this just melted away, and then there was nothing there. And so I think this is something you need to work through. You need to work on this on your own. These kind of problems you still have a little bit of healing to do because of past situations. And I think a lot of people, when they're recovering from love or a breakup or whatever, they don't like that feeling of that recovery period. It's very difficult to go through, and you know that. But what they do is they usually just jump into a new relationship so they feel better. That's what they try to do. You're not doing that. You're not like that. And you know the way that you're going to get to the stability is to wait and to take as much time as you need. So I think you are interested in this person. I think you do have a lot of feelings for them. But I also think you know that you still have a bit of recovering to do. You still want to take your time. You want to make sure this is the right thing. So you're doing the absolute right thing if this resonates. You really are. So okay, so the next card you have for your future is the Three of Pentacles. Okay, yeah, again, I think there are going to be some people in your workplace when you step into this position, when you do this thing, they're not going to like you being in this position of authority. That's what I'm saying. They're not going to like it. I've seen one specific person. There'll be more as well, I think. I'm definitely seeing two people. There's some envy here. Yeah, there's one main person and then there's someone else who's kind of their sidekick. I mean, look at the way this man in the front's dressed. He looks a little bit like a jester, someone who you wouldn't really take seriously. So there's a little bit of silly business, a bit of funny business. There's some undermining that's going to happen. People are going to try it. That's what I'm seeing. They're trying. But, you know, you're going to be able to see this way before it happens. You know, again, the Queen of Swords, she's up on this hill, and there's a man here as well who's standing up on this bench. So you're up above, you know what's going to happen before it comes. And you've been given this position for a reason. You know, it's because you can handle this. You know you can. And, you know, everything's going to tie together. You're slotting in, everything's fitting in together. It's all coming together. It's going to work really efficiently, a bit like a machine. You know, I'm just looking at these three coins and they look a little bit more like wheels, you know, cogs in a machine. So these people are going to have to work with you, whether they like it or not. You know, they don't have any choice. They're going to be, you know, they're part of this machine and you're running this machine, and they might mess around to start with, but I think in the end they're going to realize that, you know, they have to work with you. There's nothing else they can do. So yeah, I think in the end it's going to work well. It's going to be very efficient, like an efficient machine. That's what I'm seeing. So the last card you have for your future is Justice. Okay, I don't see this very often in this card, but you know, you have the Ace of Cups, and I keep on getting these really, really strong feelings developing in this relationship. And everywhere I see this relationship in this reading, it's looking very, very positive. Even though it's slow moving, it is looking very positive. So and also, you know, because you're taking your time to get to that place of stability, that's showing me the strength in this as well. So I'll just say this, I'll just say what I'm seeing. This can be about marriage. So if this is something you want, if marriage is something you want, it's definitely a very big possibility. It's a very real possibility. If it's not something you want, there's definitely a lot of stability here, and it's going to keep on developing as time goes on, I think. This is about perfect balance. This woman's sitting between these stone pillars. They're very solid, they're very stable, and there's fairness here as well. There's equal balance between you. And I think this is something you've been really wanting for a long, long time, something that's equal, something that's balanced. I think you've experienced a lot of inequality in some of your past relationships. You've been the giver, you've been the chaser. Not anymore, not with this person. This is really beautiful, really positive, really solid. This is actually a fantastic reading. I'm really happy to see this, and you really, really deserve this. That's what I'm seeing.